With straight checking them, the thing I remember as a kid when I was reading the credits was that you guys recorded the whole album very quickly, only in a couple weeks. So like now everybody makes a big deal about that, but that was like old school with ancient equipment, relatively speaking. So
Yeah.
how and why were you guys able to make that and even Music to Drive By so fast?
You know what? Straight checking them. That was strange because Eight was writing a song a night. They was doing they was producing a song in the daytime. We'll meet at when I got off work because I was working at this hospital doing with a tube belt. We'll meet around that time. Eight to get the song, go home and write. The next day he had a list. He recorded. He was writing that fast. I was even like, wow. And because you had two producers, which was Unknown and Slip. So Unknown to do a beat and bring it to the table, and then Slipper polish it up, and Slipper do something Unknown here, throw his stuff on it. They was co-produce. They knew how to mix and match within each other. Right there, I wasn't producing, so I had drum machines, but I didn't think anything I had was worth it. You know, I have to really, even the hood. When I did the Hood Took Me Under, I didn't care for that song. I did not care for it.
Why not?
It was too simple. I had an SB 1200. That thing has 5-second sampling time. Now, when I got to the MPC, I was more because I learned music theory, so I hear all type of instruments. You know what I'm saying? The way the teacher got my mind thinking, I can look at, I can be in a concerto, like a Quincy Jones with the little thing and read the notes. So you got the bass section here and the highs over here and the horn section. That's how my mind works. So music always dumbers down at about between 4 and 8 years. It's a whole new crowd coming up. You have to take them and walk them through the process of music appreciation. So by the time my era was done, I couldn't pull an audience that way. They were already stuck on what we already had. You see? So it was kind of like, so I just played a lot of background stuff. You know, I stayed in the clubs. I would go to studio sessions and DJ. A lot of projects you don't even know I was on there. I go and get my money, leave. You know how leave, shoot, outright. Let's go.
So then, for a little more clarity, how and why on Music to Drive By did you start producing per se, or start producing and getting credit for it on that album?
Oh, because what happened was after Unknown left Rennie from Lonzo, I ended up staying over at Lonzo's by myself. Me and Woody was producing over there now, right? So I would take Lonzo's drum machine home and find records that I had. I would never take my record to Lonzo's studio because they'd always get lost. They had records in there too. Never take your records nowhere except where you need to use them at and take them things home. That was my goal back then. So I would go home and find records. I ended up finding that, what was dude's name? Isaac Hayes record. And I had a cassette. It was a 60-minute cassette. I had a bunch of songs on there. And that was actually the second to the last song on there because I didn't like it. It was too simple. I liked the way I had structured it. And I actually picked those sounds, those loops that I picked. I actually went through the whole record and picked them loops. And I was like, them was the best ones on there. And I went and bought the record and that's all I could pull out. And Nate said he won. I said, go ahead. Now I like the Who's Fucking Who about Tim Dog. That song I liked. That boy made me mad.
On the Straight Checking Them tour, that's when 8 got the lawyer when Unknown was locked up.
He went to jail for overnight for having that gun taking that gun out of state.
So then how and what happened to where everything got contractually handled and what changed?
Well, what happened was he got the lawyer and we had a meeting with the lawyer. The lawyer finally contacted Epic and told Epic what the case was. No, actually it happened it happened actually before that. Because we went to New York for something, and Hank Caldwell had called us up to it. Was it the Sony party? Anyway, yeah, it was the Sony party. It was a Sony party. We met Tim Dog. 8 had how did this work? Hank had called us up to the room, and he was. Oh no, that wasn't it. It was right when we had turned in the album for the Music to Drive By.
Okay.
Hank was mad at us. But I told everybody that's producing, look, I got this independent artist contract with Epic. I don't have a contract like 8. I said, so when it come down to the sample stuff, if y'all haven't cleared the samples yet, just say Mike T said I don't have to clear it because I'm going to get Epic to clear all these damn samples. Because it wasn't, we had like 40 samples, man. The budget we couldn't clear all them samples, what they was asking for back then. So I told everybody, get your whatever money A give you, just take that and run with us. I'm gonna get this. I'm gonna get Epic to pay for these samples somehow. I said all they could do is they couldn't do nothing. It wouldn't have hurt me if they let me go. I had an independent artist contract. I didn't have a contract with the group or with Aid or nobody. I had an independent artist contract. I was like, we gonna run off this one for a minute. I always used that. That was my juice card up in there. Man, that was my juice card. When I got tired of touring, I ain't gotta go. Aid had to go. When they said, then they say jump, he ended up then going to blows. But anyway, we had this meeting. Hank was like, who authorized? He said, well, you guys turned this album. He said, don't get me wrong, the album's dope. This is like, he said, even our interns are impressed by the way you guys, manipulate the sound to make it your own West Coast hip hop. But who authority you guys are going to use to release this without clearing the samples? We gave you guys enough money. I said, my authority. Now, I told everybody pointed at me. Unknown said, I cleared my samples up. Hank, he take me in the back. He said, what give you the right? He started saying something. I just kind of laughed at him and shit. To let him talk. Then I gave him my point of view. He said, okay, that does make. I said, I said, we ain't gonna have no money if we pay the samples. So do you want that? Do you want the album or not? And he said, well, fuck it, we're gonna have to pay for it, but you guys probably ain't gonna see no damn money on the turn. I said, we didn't expect to see no money anyway off this album. I said, we figured out how much we sampled. We already knew we wasn't gonna get no money. So I told him to keep the upfront money as with any payment you gonna get. And they just fell out. He just started, because he the producer, he just smiled. He said, well, I get paid for my lyrics. I said, there we go. Other member of the group was me. I ain't gonna get paid for them. I'm gonna get paid for what I got to deal with Epic about. You see what I'm saying? So that's how we balanced it out. So we got back in. Hank said, is there any more discrepancies? That was the funniest thing I ever seen in my life. I raised my hand like a little ass kid. He said, Mike, look, I don't know if I want to hear you or not. I said, no, this discussion's coming about this little peanut head. I just went the fuck off. I cussed on out like a sailor, and Slip was going, no. And I cussed Slip out. I told anybody, you want to fight, we can go downstairs and fight. And they would just sit there with this blank look on his face like, I ain't never seen Mike do this. I said, look, Unknown, I'm not mad at you. I looked up to Unknown. Unknown was the guidance I needed to become a whole person, to look out for myself in the industry, or stop trying to collaborate with others or break my neck and I go out of the way and they don't go out the way. He said, just grab a group and concentrate on it. Be the focal point leader, use your influence to build it. And that's what he did. So I wasn't really mad at him. I couldn't get mad, but I had to tell him how I felt. I felt some type of way. I let it be known that Hank called me back in the room. That's when he offered me the production deal. And I turned it down. I said, give it to Slip. He said, I ain't giving Slip nothing, because he wanted to let Unknown do what he was doing. And that's when Epic got involved, and they went through the paperwork and found it out. And they told him, look, you can do 5 songs, and after that, you out.
Wow.
We had got jerked before. We got jerked by Orpheus. So if you look at the pattern, Orpheus did some stuff. They took our group and sold us like a pimp from Capital to EMI back to Capital. Or was it EMI to Capital to EMI? They did some stuff like it got the different monies on the same album. They were shoveling. Then they went to Epic and got some money. Then they merged Orpheus over to Epic and got some money, and then tried to do and get some more money. And that's when Epic went in and dismantled them. So we ended up being on Epic. And after Muse the Drive-By, they made Epic Street for the last couple of albums Ake dealt with. So they made that. He was the only artist on that album, on that record label with Epic. Right. Behind all the previous contracts and disputes and everything to get him, keep everything clear for the future for the man. That's so everything it just kept getting, it's a like they say, pimps and hoes, man. They sold us. You go back and look, you gonna see Capital on one part. There was EMI, then Capital, then EMI again. They was shuffling stuff around. I don't know how they was doing it. That's
crazy. Now so what specifically, you just did the one song then on Music to Drive By?
I did The Hood Took Me Under. I did the bottom, all the basic stuff for the Tim Dog. There's all the samples, the edits, and how he was talking about himself. And Slip added the bass line and the part that 8 rap to. He added a couple of little samples in there. And then I programmed Compton for Life for Rick Rock. I just, he had all the samples, but he didn't know what to do with it. He said, I like all the samples, but I just sat there and programmed it and gave it to 8 and, put it in scratch, came back, just scratched it and left. I told Rick, just going to keep whatever money come in, you keep it. Because I was always I was making so much money DJing. And I had a 9-to-5 job. I was getting 4 hours sleep a night. I was working.
What was your 9 to 5 at this time?
I worked at Martin Luther King Killer King Hospital with a tool belt. I had the keys to the whole hospital.
Doing what?
Fixing stuff. Gurneys, beds, blood pressure cuffs, lights, electrical. My shop was a 24-hour shop. That hospital had enough. They had a locksmith up in there. They had an elevator mechanic. They had enough employees to build a whole nother hospital.
So when you heard Ice Cube's "Alive on Arrival," what did you think when you heard that song, knowing what was going on there?
I didn't care. That's what everybody called it, Killer King shit. Every time I would call it Killer King at work, they would correct me and say, "You better be glad you got a job here." I would go, "Yeah, you're right." They would tell me not to be disrespectful like that.
So how did you just did the shows on the weekends then?
Well, see, with the county back then, you had 2 sick days a month and 1 personal day. And you had grievance days. Then you had 2 weeks vacation time. So I just mapped, and then if you didn't go to work, you just didn't get paid. So I would just map it all around this. So basically, we did weekends. So we would leave on Friday, come back Sunday, or leave Friday, come back Monday. And I worked a 1080. So every other Monday I got off. So I was working 10 hours a day till I got to 80 hours a week. Now I would have every other weekend I had a Mondays, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday off. Then the next week I would just work, be off Saturday, Sunday. The next one be Saturday, Sunday, Monday.
So around this time too, I don't remember, so please tell me, but I don't remember Compton's Most Wanted doing a lot of touring, at least in my area at all. Maryland, Philly, Baltimore, D.C.
We only went on promo tour. I remember going to Maryland and D.C. Yeah, D.C. tripped me out when I went to D.C. We did a few shows in D.C. though. They weren't big shows though. I met a lot of D.C. cats back there. They showed me how to shoot the 3 dice. I didn't know nothing about that. I remember D.C.
Why did D.C. trip you out though?
Because it was like to me it was like going to Frisco. The first thing I do when I would go to any city back then, because everything's pretty much connected now. Back then was cut on the TV first, then I cut on the radio to hear what kind of stations they got. And when I got to that go-go music in D.C., it was like, the only thing we do was bang, zoom, and doing the butt on the West Coast.
Right.
We didn't have a lot of go-go music, so I hear a lot of go-go stations. I was watching the attitude. And to me, like when I look at even going down to like New Orleans, the attitude's a little different. You see what I'm saying? It was like, wow, okay.
Yeah.
St. Louis, I could deal with St. Louis. Texas, I got along real good with people in Texas. Somebody just with my Cali swag. And then I'm at the height of my own manhood. You know what I'm saying? I'm 21, 22. You couldn't tell me nothing.